Commission has yet again suspended the collation of results for Ablekuma North constituency. You would recall that on Monday, they have been able to authenticate some 13 out of the 20 outstanding polling stations. But just before the process could kickstart today, the NDC constituency organizer for Ablekuma North, Musa Kalami, raised some concerns accusing the EC of not telling the truth to the public when he says all 13 polling stations had been authenticated on Monday.
Some of the POs, when they met the returning officer, they told the returning officer they can't confirm the figures on the scanned pink sheet of MPP. The returning officer of Ablekuma North, Mr. Obin, came in front of you, the media, and told you all the 13 POs that they brought here confirmed the figures on the pink sheets. I am now going to introduce or bring in a PO who came in the last time and said he did not confirm the figures on the pink sheets.
The presiding officer for the polling station in question have also been telling his side of the story.
No, I didn't, because there were some figures on it and some handwritings weren't mine. That's what I told the returning officer when I came last Monday.
Handwritings on the pink sheet wasn't
figures, and some part of the handwritings wasn't mine. That's what I told the returning officer. That was what happened on Monday.
You feel the handwritings, the writings were manipulated?
I can't say. I just know it's not mine. So I don't know where from.
What about the signature?
The signature was mine. The name was mine too. The name was mine. The signature was mine.
So you did not authenticate it?
No, I didn't authenticate it because I told the returning officer.
The EC kick-started the process to authenticate the collation pink sheet of some 7 outstanding polling stations. But in the middle of the collation process, there was chaos.
Now, the NDC organizer did on the 8th of December in Ablekuma North, all the TV stations, you are seeing
So you see the police trying to make an arrest. One person is currently being pushed out of the collation room. The other official that the police are trying to take out of the room now is the NDC organizer for the Ablekuma North constituency. The police are intervening now, asking that he's been brought back to the collation center. But at the end of the day, the EC has been able to authenticate only 4 out of. So what you saw there are visuals of what happened. Exactly 1 week ago, Thursday, when the EC attempted another time to recollate the election results. Today, the process is expected to resume. But before that process resumes, a lot of actions have been ongoing here at the EC Regional Coalition Center here in Accra. Party supporters have already invaded the coalition center and have been distracting items. We'll take you around a bit to see what exactly has been happening. You see from my left here, from this window here, has been shattered by the party supporters, including doors and other glasses. This is the entrance to the collation room. And as you can see, those in front of me are taking their time to make their way there because all of the windows leading to the collation room, the louver blades have been shattered this morning by the party supporters who have invaded the place even before the Electoral Commission officials make their way to the collation room. And so this is what happened just this morning. You would have to really be careful to make your way into the collation room because a mess has been created here by the party supporters. The louver frames in all of the windows leading to the collation center have been broken this morning by the political party supporters. And so, as we speak, EC officials are yet to make their way to the collation center to even set up for the collation. The original time given for the process was exactly 8 a.m. At 2 hours after that, we are yet to see EC officials. In fact, when the thugs invaded the place, even before we arrived here at the scene, police officers were stationed around just as they have always been in the previous coalitions. What I'm told, in fact, is that the police had to withdraw from the scene, and this is what has been left behind by the party supporters. Glasses shattered everywhere. This is the room proper. You see the entrance or the door area of the room with glasses all over the place. You would need to be really careful to make your way in here so as you do not get yourself injured by the broken glasses. And so, this is what the room looks like now, 2 hours after the official time, collation time set by the Electoral Commission. The party supporters are actually massing up, more and more of them are massing up at the entrance of the Electoral Commission office. They are massing up on the road leading to the office, chanting, asking the Electoral Commission to declare the results now. We know that days leading, in the past few days, both parties have been declaring their parliamentary candidates winners. We've seen the NDC's Irabna Orbin's flyers all over social media as they say that the EC, she has been the official person declared by the EC as winner of the election. We also saw Ekuya Afrie's flyers all over the place. The NPP supporters say she has been declared. I'm taking you down to the outside of the collation center to see more of the damages, hoping to make my way to the entrance of the EC office, where you would see loads of the party supporters who have massed up there, demanding to re-enter the place and cause more havoc at the collation room. We've seen the two parties claiming victory already. They are there asking the EC to come declare their candidates. So you see more of the distractions here. Louver blades from the top have all been broken onto the ground, and the place is in a mess. If you look up there, they have been able to break the louver blades from the top, shattering them across the floor here, leading to... So this is outside the coalition center. This is the coalition building where all of the activities have been happening in the past few days. Trying very hard to see if we can make our way out there. So you see the number of supporters, hundreds of them, have already massed up demanding the Electoral Commission. The NDC says they want the EC to declare Irabna Orbin winner of the elections. The NPP are also demanding that Ekuya Afrie is a declared winner of the election. And so they are here today to impress upon the Electoral Commission to do that. If you remember, in the last coalition on Thursday, the Electoral Commission is left with about 3 polling stations more to deal with. One polling station, the presiding officer came in but says the signature on the pink sheet is his. The figures are correct, but there was no rejected ballot paper on the day of the collation. And so, with the pink sheet has been presented, there are rejected ballot papers on that. And so he will not accede to that. Two presiding officers say they will not make their way to the EC head office to verify the pink sheet. And so that's how can we still have 3 more polling station pink sheets to verify before the EC goes ahead to do the final declaration. And so this is the entrance. I'm sure more of the supporters, when we're making our way here, were at the entrance pressing their demands, driving home their demands, but a lot of them have been pushed away. You see a number of them to my left there, standing by the roadside, waiting for the process to begin. To my right, you see a number of them there, all the way to the main road. I'm sure the police have been successful in driving them away from here, from what we saw earlier, with hundreds of them, even in the premises of the EC. Some women sitting there. And so this is how the main entrance of the EC looks like now as we speak. I'll try and see if I can get some reactions from some of the party supporters here to know what exactly their demands are. Quite a number of them here. I mean, I'm interested. Where are the other supporters we saw earlier at the EC premises?
Yeah, Yabaha na Ekwefiye or Tetsin serious. And I'm saying,
was she here herself?
No, yeah, she's here. She ran to the house, but in fact, the come out as I say, win in any win, a Rabani win. And it's up a win be Uncle Jupiter, and a proto. Ablekuma North of win be.
But you know the final decision lies with the Electoral Commission. Why don't you give them the time to sort out the rest of the 3 polling stations and do the declaration?
Chapa, since December 7th, up to now, you won't be akwanaba.
So you are supporters of which of the parties?
NDC.
NDC.
Yes, Rama.
I see. I mean, who is responsible for the distraction we saw there? Is it your party members?
We can't tell. We can't tell whoever. But then we are telling the EC, it's been long overdue. From 7th December.
Why?
A month and some weeks.
Why?
It's been long overdue. You see, the tension started from the billboard issue. I hope you remember the billboard issue with Irabna and then a free. Anywhere Irabna mounts her billboard, that is where this woman will also go and mount her billboard. Meanwhile, she's claiming she's been an MP before. So what happened?
I was told by someone that the distraction was caused by your party members. Is it true?
Unless we will leave the police to investigate that. You get it? The police should investigate.
But is it something you support to put pressure on the EC to declare?
This is what happens. I think EC is ready for this. That is why they've been.
So you support the distraction?
Whether I support or not, this is what EC wants. Yes. And then this is what they are getting. Because work has already started. MPs are working. What happens to Ablekuma North? Who is representing us? There are people there. We voted. We all voted. And then we voted for Rabna Obin. We are paying taxes. So why is EC supporting a particular candidate? Why is EC supporting the NPP candidate? Why? For what reason?
You feel they are supporting the NPP?
We don't feel. We know. We know. We have evidence. We have evidence. You see, the funny thing is, we know a KFES people, and then they have congratulated us. They have congratulated us from 10th December. They've congratulated. They know that we've won the election.
But is your PC around?
Yes.
No, we don't have a PC. We have an MP. Irabna Obin, Honorable Irabna Obin.
She's around?
I don't know whether she's around.
Okay. All right.
I can't really tell.
Okay. And so some of the NDC supporters here waiting for the EC to come, continue the process and do the declaration of the final result. From their part of the story, as far as they are concerned, Irabna is winner. But we'll see how that proceeds in the course of the day as the EC would arrive to take charge of the final process. And so that has been the situation this morning at the EC's Regional Coalition Center here in Accra. We'll be following closely and be bringing you all of the updates on Joy News in the course of the day.
Bringing us that update all the way from the EC's Regional Collation Center. Unfortunately, the EC has a tough job on their hands because collation was supposed to commence early this morning. Unfortunately, they might be facing a bit of delay. We could see heavy security presence there as they try to resolve the impasse there. But moving on, government says it has begun distribution of food supplies to senior high schools across the country. It comes after President John Dramani Mahama tasked the Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, to ensure supplies in the Tema warehouse are sent to the various schools to alleviate the plight of students who had been denied balanced diet since school resumed. Well, today we're keeping our tabs on that, touching base with all our correspondents across the country to find out if indeed this meal has gotten to them. We start from the Bono region. Anas Sabe joins me live with more. Bono East. Anas, what can you report? Anas, can you hear me? Loud and clear, I can hear you now. I just wanted to find out, what can you report? You've been visiting some of the schools this morning.
If you can hear me, I am currently stationed at the Techiman Senior High School. This is one of three districts supposed to be brought into. If you could remember, a week ago, around a week ago, we brought you the story about the absence of food, enough food items in the area. We can confirm that about 500 packs of rice have already been brought into the Bono East region. Already there have been allocations to some major schools in the area. What we know is that what was brought here, local rice, and about 500 packs, 490 each of them have already been allocated to the various schools within the Techiman area. However, what we know is that already the schools in the area have rice. Like I said a week ago, what they have is rice, and this food item that is being brought cannot solve the problem that is currently in the system, because the authorities were complaining that they serving unbalanced food items to this particular school. So bringing rice, which is already in stock here in the Techiman area, wouldn't solve the problem, except that it would mean that they have enough rice in the system, unlike it was a week ago. So we have 500 bags brought in, but that is not solving the issue of 7 pupils with unbalanced diet, because they already had rice even a week ago when I came here to do that particular story.
Thank you, Anas Sabit. Let's take you now to the northern region. Martina Bugri joins us live with more. Martina, what can you report?
For the northern region, they are yet to receive their stock. I checked with the one in charge of receiving supplies, and he says that they expect the supplies to arrive today. So he believes that by close of day, they would have received their supply. On the memo for them to begin purchasing food items in the school, he says that they are yet to receive that memo. My checks with most of the schools indicate that they have something left they are still relying on, but they believe that if the stock arrives today, they would not have issues with food.
Thank you, Martina, for bringing us that update. Let me take you now to the Volta region. Ivy Setoji joins me live with more. Ivy, have they received their items over there?
Well, not yet in the Volta region. Most of the heads I spoke with is that they are yet to receive the items. According to the director, Francis, I spoke with him yesterday. He said they are bringing it today, this morning. So they are hoping that this morning they will have to share it among the schools. But up to now, we are yet to know whether it has arrived or not. For now, according to some of the headmasters, they are relying on what they have, mostly which is rice, which is not enough. And also they are also hearing that what they are also bringing is also rice. So it's the same thing, but they are hoping that during the week or next week, something is done urgent about the situation, because they want food to feed the students, and they cannot only rely on rice to do so.
Peter Senna also joins us live with some updates from his region. Peter, what can you report?
Well, Tina, this morning we can report that no school in the Oti region has received any food supply as directed by the president yet. My checks from schools in the region currently stationed at KJB Asatu Senior High School have some conversation with management here. They have indicated that there is some food that is left that can run for the next couple of weeks. But as we all do know, what they would need to buy perishables is the cash that required to do whatever they need to keep the system running. But my checks from the regional level indicate that 3 days ago, there was this high-level meeting in Accra that is trying to allow the schools to purchase food items, and then government would have to provide the funds for them to do the reimbursement. And so from the national level, the regional level meeting is yet to be convened, whether to allow the heads to purchase food and then get some reimbursement later. So that is yet to be done. But food supply in schools now, it's okay. There's not much of concern to be raised. But I have also been interacting with some students across the region, and they have indicated that they've been served a particular cost of meal, especially in the afternoons, where they will have to eat gari and beans for the past week, which they thought was not too good for them. And so that is it. But the heads have confirmed that there is enough food that could run them at least up to the end of January. Tina.
Happy New Year. Parents and teachers as well. What are the expectations this morning?
Can I say again?
You've been engaging some of the parents and teachers as well. What are the expectations this morning?
For the parents, they expect the supply of food to be prompt. We know what has happened in the previous years where children will have to go home and complain. And we know that some parents in some schools have also made some contribution to augment what government is supplying. And so they would wish that, as directed by the president, the food items reach the school early enough so their children will have what they say a balanced diet. But for the teachers, sometimes they go to class, students don't pay attention because for the insufficient food. And so if the food items are supplied in time for them, it also helps teaching and learning process in their various workplaces.
Thank you so much, Peter Seno, giving us updates all the way from the OT region. Now, away from that, President John Dramani Mahama on Thursday named another set of ministers to help steer the affairs of Ghana and lead us to greater development. He appointed Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Ijisu, as the Minister-designate for Education. Eric Opoku, Member of Parliament for Esunafo South, is heading to the Agric Ministry, and Elizabeth Ofosu Ejare has been penned for the Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness. Now, today we're discussing this and how to get these ministers to work effectively. Joining me in the studio is the former Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Education, Kwesi Kwarteng. Thank you so much for your time here on Newsdesk. I also have with me Anthony Morrison. He's Executive Director, Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. CEO for the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. Thank you so much for your time here on Newsdesk. I would start with you, Kwesi Kwarteng, especially on the back of the issues we're hearing about chats and complaints about meals getting to students. Because you used to head that ministry, what exactly happened?
All right, thank you very much. And because it's the first time we are meeting in this, I think it's important that I wish you a happy new year.
Yeah.
And of course to all our viewers as well. I mean, for me, the most important thing is that seeing these images and footages gives me satisfaction that whichever way there is a solution to the issues or the concerns that we raised. I mean, if you look at the food supply chain, at every point is an ongoing process. So even if we were to be in government by now, supplies would have still been going on. Because if you look at it holistically, most of the schools do not have enough storage facilities. So at every point, suppliers are engaged to distribute food to the schools. You record that there are about 18 food items. So you may have gari, beans, maize, rice, and what have you, oil and what have you. So there are situations where genuinely you may have, let's say, reduced stock or even shortages with regards to these items. So I'm sure what Charles did was to preempt the situation that indeed, if we do not intervene, we are going to have a problem. Because the point is that as soon as the government change, I mean, the kind of political environment that we find ourselves, you may find suppliers not sure of even the future consequences of their supply, whether or not they are going to be paid. Because, I mean, we know, unless we are all pretending, that as of now, the suppliers currently will be tagged as MPP suppliers. and they were not very sure whether this government was going to work with them. Again, you recall that during the campaign season, the government made it clear that in terms of food distribution and procurement of food items, they are going to, give it to the head teachers. So if you're a supplier, certainly you are going to be scared whether or not the government is going to still engage you. So I'm sure that caused the fluctuations and the unwillingness of suppliers to continue to distribute the food. And of course, I'm unable to think for Charles, but I believe that also informed their decision that, well, if suppliers are not doing the supplies as regular as the pattern should be, then we have to raise concern and alarm. But it's also important to also add that during that time, it was not a situation as how it was painted to be.
Oh, what's the situation?
Because, so let's look at just some logical consistency in understanding this. Assuming without admitting that there was literally no food items, all the 18 food items were in shortage. Food were distributed today. It started yesterday. Yeah. So before then, what were the students eating? So it presupposes that during that time, during those periods, there were food. But the projection was that the food was not going to be there forever. Like I indicated, even when we're in government, at every point, almost every week, different suppliers are supplying food to different schools. And of course, even though, contrary to the whole idea that supplies are done from a centralized level, no. Buffer stock engages suppliers. So for instance, if a supplier, if we look at, let's say, schools within the jurisdiction or the catchment area, for instance, in Tamale, it won't make even business sense to send food from Accra to Tamale. So usually, even though the procurement of the supplier may be done nationally, the supplier may source local food content from, let's say, Tamale or the northern region and distribute to the schools. And the schools, like I indicated, at every point may not have enough storage. About 70% or more may not have that adequate storage to store, let's say, food for a month or two. And of course, when you are dealing with food, some of them also have the tendency of even going bad. So at every point, you may have to get the supplies, doing the supplies periodically. So the supply, like I indicated, is not an event. It has always been an ongoing process. For instance, when we were leaving, we had also paid suppliers an amount of, I think we had released 100 million to suppliers and 50 million to the schools, also to buy perishable food items. You recall that if you're looking at the food, there are two components of it. Aside the 18 food items that is being distributed, of course, coordinated centrally. There are also that bit of, when you put monetary value on it, 30% of the food items, that is also paid in the form of cash to the schools to also be able to also procure the perishable food items. Because, it won't make sense to say that you are making a supplier from Accra or any other place to take tomatoes, pepper, salt, and those basic items. So as at when we were also living, within that very same week, we also gave 50 million to the schools to also be able to buy, those perishable food items. So, I'm not so much interested in disputing whether or not there is food, but logically, if you want to analyze it, food were just distributed to the school just yesterday. Even with that one, there are only two food items. We are looking at rice, we are looking at maize, if I'm correct. Those two food items. There is no way students are going to be sustained on only two food items. Certainly, it presupposes that there could be other items that are there that could complement the two food items that, per the directives of the president, has now reached the schools. But for me, my priority is that, regardless of who is in power, who was in power, who ought to have done A, who could have done A, the most important priority that I see is that I'm excited that at the end of the day, food situation is being addressed. And then we hope that we'll have a more, comprehensive approach of also making sure that at every point we will have food in the schools. You see, the bigger problem, particularly, whether you are doing a centralized procurement or local procurement, sometimes there are some of the variables that you may not really control. For instance, if there are inflationary pressures and inflationary fluctuations, regardless of where you are procuring, the suppliers may be unwilling to send the food. Because if they take food and by the time they come for their monies, the value of that money has really reduced. You get a reluctance, especially the similar situation that we had now. Post-election, the previous government campaign was that, well, when we come, we are going to jettison the suppliers and give the job to the headmasters to do. So if you are a supplier and you find yourself in that situation after 7th of December, you realize that the current government has lost a new government who does not necessarily want to work with the suppliers and has promised within the campaign manifesto that your job is going to be sourced to the headmasters in addition to their managerial role, will you be willing to distribute? So there are some, I mean, instances where genuinely you may have some fluctuations, or, I mean, it may not necessarily even be a cash flow challenges, but other variables could also compel suppliers not even to be willing to take supplies. But for me, as I sit here, I'm excited that whichever way I'm seeing supplies of food to schools, but at least it is also fair to also put it in a very good perspective that it cannot be the case as the alarm that was sung that there was no food in the school. If there is no food in the school, these are only 2 food items. How are they going to add oil? How are they going to add all other items to be able to? Yeah.
Point noted. Now, let's shift our attention now to the ministerial nominations, and I'll come to you shortly just to get your thoughts, Anthony. Let's start with the Education Ministry, and then we come all the way to Eric Opo.
Before that,
okay.
I won't be sitting there and not make a statement on the
district. Okay, you want to also make a point.
I'm in that sector. I chair the private sector TVET for agriculture.
Okay.
So I fall within that mandate. And I think that to a large extent, buffer stock, he and I were having a discussion on this. And I said clearly, buffer stock have not done their work properly. Okay. In this current dispensation, how is buffer stock managing the distribution, food stock? Okay. We have proposed, when we were developing the ECOWAS storage policy 7 years ago, which was coordinated by buffer stock, we proposed to them, we said, look, buffer stock, get Parliament Committee on Agriculture, Cocoa and Food Affairs to give you a legislation, a legal background where you can have and force all those who keep food stock as a commodity. So all warehouses will now have the mandate to declare every stock that is available. Okay? So that also gives buffer stock that power to be able to go in there and say, look, we do know you have 10,000 of this year, soya, rice, maize, granite, palm, whatever. So you can use government allowances to be able to use that to redistribute to the schools. Right. We need to do things in this current dispensation in a way that addresses our challenges as people. But for us to wait for the schools to start preempting the issue that the schools might be running out of food, I think that is not a leadership issue, a proper leadership. We need to put this into proper context in that we begin to address the challenges of future leaders. So when they come, they'll be able to build on that. But when we sit down and schools are having to shout because they are gradually waning off on food, that is not good. And I think that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, they issued some payment to the schools recently. I think you are aware of that.
Yeah, because of there were only food items. So Charles quickly have to prompt them that they will still need some.
So I'm sure that would have catered for the remaining 18 foodstuffs you talk about.
Not necessarily. I think it's a temporary solution whilst they streamline the.
Well, something must be done. And I think going forward, buffer stock should be more strategic in the redistribution and how the depletion of the stock at the various schools are going. They should have a dashboard showing what is going down, and the schools can pull up the demand. Okay, we are running short on this. We will need a supply or a restocking in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Then buffer stock can also work around the declaration and be able to look at the warehouses that they have and what is in the stock, so that some of these things we shouldn't be here where we are today if they have done the right thing.
Thank you, Anthony, for making that point. So let me just continue with you. Let's look at the minister-designate that has been nominated to set the affairs in the Agric Ministry and your initial thoughts about his competence.
Yeah, yesterday I think I granted an interview to your channel, and I made it clear that Honorable Rekopoku is seasoned in terms of industry expertise. He's someone who has worked in the cocoa sector for many years. He's also a farmer. And we believe strongly that he will be able to handle the issues properly. we in the industry, private sector, will be ready to collaborate with him to give him all the needed support. Let me also remind him that he's coming into a sector where we are very heavily indebted in several aspects of our agriculture sector. The issue of the distribution of the rice and all that were done in view of the drought mitigation, the funding they got from the World Bank.
Are you worried about that?
Well, even though, the former minister knew the stand of the chamber and all our allied partners, peasant farmers, GAWU, we all raised the issue that the importation of food, and you see, it also goes back to what I said about buffer stock. If buffer stock had the food stock declaration register, okay, the former agric minister would know that there was stock of food in the country, and he wouldn't have spent over $120 million to buy imported rice and maize for distribution for farmers, okay? Now, we pointed out clearly that the importation lacks any technical sustainability
you
strategy.
felt it ought to have been locally sourced.
Exactly. There was no need using $120 million to import rice and maize. It was just a clueless activity that was undertaken. Because if buffer stock was really up on its activity, have a proper register of stock of food in the country. We shouldn't have done this, what we did. $120 million just went out like that.
And that food that was now serving
that would have come to the farmers.
It's not coming to the farmers.
No, it's not coming to the farmers. We've lost it. Okay.
What are the key challenges?
Well,
like that this new administration addressing the agri sector.
The key challenge, first of all, is to make sure that we build a robust agriculture sector information management database. Okay. The importation of some of the things that were done is as a result of absence of no register or no database to work with. If we have a robust database, we are able to make the right decision, build the right national project, and expect the right result. If you use outdated data to develop a national agriculture project for the next 5 years, you have set yourself to fail. Because old data cannot be used to achieve new results. It will give you same old results. So that's what we're talking about. We need a data, a very robust data, both private sector and government and development partners can work with. 2, we in the private sector are saying that we ply our trade with several ministries, okay? So Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Environment. Look, we plow our trade among about Ministry of Finance. Look, a lot. What we're saying is that, are we able to give the sector agribusiness development and regulatory authority? When we go in there, we are able to secure our license and permit for export. We are able to secure our food and drugs and standards authority certifications. We are able to secure our business operating permit, which we normally get from local government. Okay. We are able to secure all the needed things from one stop, because the time, the cost, and the long bureaucracy in securing some of this also takes dire consequences on some of the. In fact, we're talking about over 2 to 3 million youth in Ghana who are actually involved, SMEs, who are actually involved in agribusiness. The kind of money they require to go into agribusiness, sometimes it's about 10,000 Ghana cedis. But you happen to have to spend almost half of what you require to put into that. Your fruit juice that you take. Sometimes the person who does that may just have invested about 5,000, 10,000 to procure the juice maker, the bottles, the labels, and get a certification. If you ask such a person, how much did it cost you to get that? From the business operating permit at the Ministry of Local Government, from the food and drugs, from the standards authority, and go to Registrar General, register your business. How much does it cost you? By the time you do that with your 5,000 that you intended to maybe increase the capacity of your business has gone into certification and licenses and other things. So we want an authority that is set up. And don't forget, look, we have 57% of the rural population directly and indirectly involved in agriculture. Almost 30% of the workforce in Ghana are directly and indirectly employed in the agriculture sector. And 42%, okay, of our GDP is anchored on agriculture. Even gold and money doesn't give us what we get in agriculture.
Okay.
So we need to be very strategic. Everybody eats to go to work. Everybody eats to sleep. Everybody eats to do an activity. You don't drink fuel. You don't put on.
So data collection is key for you.
What we are saying is that we need the Agribusiness Development Authority put up. We need the data. Now, secondly, we just launched globally. No, I mean this point is very important.
Okay.
The African Union Commission just launched the Continental Comprehensive Agriculture Development Program. Now, this is going to take effect this year. It was launched in Kampala, Uganda, and it has taken effect. We need to streamline that and properly align it to our long-term strategy, the FASDEP and the METASIP. As we do that, we avoid three things. Government first must be committed to its policies, commitment in terms of regulation and financing. Two, we align our policies to our priority as a country. And three, we must stop duplication of agriculture sector projects so that the right funding, the right grants, the right finances are directed so we can have the impact and the productivity.
Okay, I have to come in at this point. I know you have so much to talk about, but then we don't have that much time. So let me just come to Kwesi Kwarteng. Haruna Idrisu, heading to the Education Ministry. What are your expectations?
I mean, just a quick bite before I come to Haruna.
Okay.
I think we agree with you that largely we have to strengthen the capacity of our state institutions. Of course, with regards to buffer stock, you know, all over the world, the concept of buffer stock is to be able to buy food at a very cheap price, usually from the farm gates.
Not only buy, but you can also induce production.
Exactly. And then you store or you stock it. So that mostly they are even able to compel the regulation of the market, because at the end of the day, when food is in shortage, they bring theirs on the market and then they're able to stabilize food prices. And most of them relies on credit facilities from the banking institutions. Unfortunately, our buffer stocks has not been able to, increase or boost their capacities to that level where they are able to partner with financial institutions to be able to say that, well, we have the capacity to induce production, take the production or take the food items and store. So I'm sure it's a conversation that I agree with. But I didn't get a bit about when he said about $125 million were received for some importation.
So you are not in our sector. In the agriculture sector, there was some money meant for drought mitigation.
Okay.
Remember there was drought?
So that point is well noted. And then the World Bank had to provide a facility for government to import some of these items to help cushion the impact on farmers in the northern region affected by dry spell in parts of the country as well. So let's stick to the...
So the money had a designated mandate, or, what...
It was a drought mitigation.
Yes,
we said that the causes of the drought are what? Absence of water.
Okay.
And this drought, the prediction that will stay with us. So what do? You import or get...
So your argument is that instead of importing the items, it ought to have been locally sourced. Point noted.
Okay. In addition
let's make progress.
Provide the drought mitigation.
Let's make progress.
Facilities.
Gentlemen, let's make progress.
No, I wanted to get some education.
Okay.
Because it looks a bit... I'm in education and law, but I didn't really...
Okay.
But now to my
let's
point,
make progress.
on Haruna Idrisu.
Okay.
First of all, let me congratulate him. I think he's a fine gentleman. Of course, full of ambition and also inspires all of us, irrespective of where you stand. I can only wish him the best. The Ministry of Education, you see,
what two key policies are you leaving behind that you would like him to take up?
I don't know, this is a leading question, but anyway. This is a leading question, but I'll still, factor your response in my whole answer that I'm giving.
Okay.
So,
but you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Like I indicated, a fine gentleman, we wish him the best. I expect him to do well. Except to say that, of course, this is not to necessarily, sing glorifying songs on my boss, but I am of the view that during our time at the ministry, to the best of our abilities, we work so well that, irrespective of where you stand, the expectation is so high. So Ghanaians will have wilder expectations from him. But I'm sure he'll be able to meet it, because I understand that he also has, future ambitions, and largely it is his own interest to really work well. But you see, one thing about education is that almost everybody is a beneficiary of education. And so people have vested interest in it. Every person has, by and large, has also passed through the education system. So whichever way, people are going to scrutinize. But I wish him all the best.
Okay.
But I think most importantly, when it comes to policy decisions, I'm just reading their campaign manifesto vis-a-vis the realities that is coming on, that probably will expect more clarifications on.
Okay.
One had to do with yesterday, the youth tender was made by Dr. Clement Apak with regards to the free school fees at the tertiary
level.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that one now he has been appointed a minister. The expectation is that we expect a clarity on that, because if you look at page 97 of the NDC's manifesto, for instance, and quickly, the NDC, if I should
read. If you can read it briefly, but you have just 1 minute to make the point.
The next NDC government will introduce no fee stress policy to alleviate the hardships on parents and students in public tertiary institutions. And by that, so doing, they are implementing a no academic fees policy. But right now, we are hearing that no academic fee policy, which was universal in nature, will no longer be based on what Clement Apak said. Yeah. So we are expecting clarity. Now that there is a minister, we hope that
Can I take a bite on the TV?
Well, you have 30 seconds to take that bite, because we have to go.
I want to also congratulate the Honorable Minister nominated, but I want him to focus on TVET.
Okay.
The previous government wanted to do what we call CBT, competence-based training, which at a point became too expensive, so they redo. Now, CBT is very expensive. We need to look at it from a proper point of view.
Okay.
What is the best approach for TVET education in Ghana? And it is TVET that industrialized a nation. Education sets the benchmark.
Okay.
But TVET is what propels.
I think it's only fair that I take 10 seconds to respond.
Yeah.
You see, TVET, when we came,
yeah.
Under GS, there were only 35 institutions, even scattered under 19 different agencies.
Okay.
As of now, there are 225 TVET institutions, all running free.
All right.
No,
all right. Okay, gentlemen. Well, to our audience, thank you so much for listening to us. Kwesi Kwarteng, former PRO, Ghana Education Service. I also have Anthony Morrison in the studio. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll be right back with more here on Newsdesk. Please stay tuned. Well, on your screens now is that wonderful documentary, The Climate-Induced Migration and Mind Chess. They have been nominated for Ghana Movie Awards. The documentary was produced by Youth Bridge Foundation with support from their donor partners. Now, in the studio with me this morning is Joyce Yami. She is Programs Manager at Youth Bridge, to tell us all about this nomination. And first of all, I'm quite interested. Mind Chess, what is it all about?
So, Mind Chess, as the name goes, is the chess game and then the mind. We are trying to raise awareness on how young people experience mental health. So there is a need for us as a society to start thinking through how young people go through mental health in diverse ways. And then the short film was written by a young person. So it's from a lens of how the young people see mental health and how in the various ways that young people are going through it, which we might not pay attention to.
I'm quite passionate about mental health because it most oftenly goes unnoticed with young people. Now, let's look at the nomination. You must be quite excited.
Yes, we are excited because this one of the major, so Youth Bay Foundation, we use movies and short films a lot to do our advocacies. So in terms of our access to justice programmatic area, Mind Chess is one of the short movies that we use as an advocacy tool. So for the first time, we've been nominated as Best Short Film for the year 2024. And then also one of the major casts, Mawena Azuma, is also on the Discovery of the Year. So it's very exciting.
We're looking forward to that ceremony and hoping that you bag some of the awards you've been nominated for. But what should we expect from Youth Bay Foundation? It's a new year. I'm sure you have a lot of programs lined up.
Yes, so you should expect more inclusive ways like this in our advocacy. We are raising awareness on some of the unnoticed ways young people face marginalization. So the movie storytelling is one of the major areas we are focusing on this year to make sure it's exciting for people to listen to what we are saying. It's not just about the books, it's not just about the policies. How do people get to know the things in the policies? So storytelling, movies, short films, documentaries are one of the major strategies we are going to employ this year. And then we are partnering with JSC Productions. They were the production house we worked on this particular one with, and they will be with them this year. So expect more of such of these things.
And I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much for your time here on NewsDesk. And that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Good morning.